The cloud story a couple days ago, well, it happened over Labor Day weekend where the celebrities had their pictures grabbed up and all of that. We know that story now. It's unfortunate to me that that story is so celebrity-based and naughty and all those kind of things, because it speaks to this issue of the cloud. What is the cloud? Security of all these kind of things. Home Depot's maybe involved in another transgression of some kind. You got a local story where some guy took company secrets. There's a lot of this stuff, and we always turn to our friend Steve Hope from Cyan and A5. Hi, Steve. How are you?
Hi. How you doing?
It's good to see you. There's always something, isn't there?
Thanks.
We just met with you the other day, and I think we even said, well, there'll be a story in the next day or two. It always happens.
And there it was.
Explain the cloud to people. What Dan and I sit in your office the other day. We both looking up in the sky, thinking that we're going to see the cloud. The cloud means what to people?
That's a great question. There's a lot of. I don't think anybody has really defined what exactly the cloud is, but I guess the best way to explain it is maybe a central repository of data that is globally accessed by anybody at any time.
It's a machine.
It is actually,
or a series of machines.
A series of machines, maybe servers that are connected all together somehow.
Right, and that could be where. Now, if I belong to, I have an iPhone.
Sure.
So if I'm on the iCloud, where is that? Do they have
right.
a repository somewhere?
And that's a great question. A lot of people don't know exactly where they are. There are various data centers, myriad throughout the whole country and probably overseas. The stuff is being replicated to constantly.
And Google at one time, didn't Google have something that they were building on a ship or a barge or something? Is that what that was?
I think so. But again, they put them anywhere and everywhere just to try to.
So the security of your information is only as good as the company. Is that right?
Exactly.
That has the cloud. The cloud. There is no the cloud. There is a cloud somewhere that you have contracted with.
Well, that opens up a whole nother thing.
Right.
There's the public.
See what I did? I opened a whole can of worms.
You've already done it.
I've already done it.
Nobody understands what's happening. Way to go.
Okay, why did you pause on that?
There's a public cloud, which the iPhone and Microsoft, Amazon, they have the big cloud dispersed everywhere.
Okay.
And then there are private clouds popping up that, for example, we're creating one in our redundant data centers.
We've been talking about you. Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
And what we're trying to do is define exactly what the cloud is and refine the security on it, continuously watching it. The big guys, once it gets up there, you don't know exactly what's happening. And there's the problem of no judicial type restraints put on who can define what a cloud is and where they're putting it and on what machine. Bureau of Public Bureau of Engraving and Printing just recently got hacked only because their data was on a server who had another company's data on that same server. And there's no regulation that really defines who can put what kind of data together.
See, this is still, this is all still growing. So is Congress now talking about that kind of legislation?
There are some regulations and legislation as far as the federal government goes.
Right.
There's FedRAMP, FSMA certifications, and things like that. And there are some Sarbanes-Oxley type regulations that define what we can do and where and how we control those certifications.
But it's a bit of a wild, wild west.
It is.
Isn't it? Yeah.
It is.
Cody is with you. Cody is also an employee of Cyan and A5, and we don't use Cody's last name. Why don't we do that, by the way? Before we do, explain that. Why do we keep him?
I think it's because Cody is so popular, like a Brazilian soccer player, that he has just one name.
I see.
He has just one name. No, he has one name.
You found it out. I prefer soccer over any other sport.
But we keep it quiet because of personal security reasons on your own, right?
We try to keep a lot of our information. In fact, we don't even have signs on our buildings and things where we store cloud locally in central Illinois. We don't advertise. We don't try
Well, you've
to,
said it before. You employ a bunch of guys that are good guy hackers.
Absolutely.
Hackers with the white hats, and that's your job, is to fight the bad guys.
Yeah, I think one of the key points is operational security that Steve touched on, and generally we try to protect our clients, ourselves, everything.
Tell me how they got these pictures. You were starting to tell me off air something to do with this model that you're fascinated with about how to go. No, and I don't mean a woman model. I mean a model of thinking or strategy to get people's info.
Yeah, it's called social engineering, and basically what it amounts to is a person gets information from somebody through convincing them to be trusted. what this whole iCloud thing actually ended up being is these celebrities were actually targeted by these hackers, and what it boiled down to was that they basically went through, they found their email address, they found their their security questions, things like that through social media, things that we would all end up knowing, on a Facebook page, like your birthday or what was your dog's favorite
or
food,
your mother's maiden name.
Yeah, just publicly accessible information, and they used that to gain access then into whatever cloud it was. So the cloud itself was secure. It was that the information that the people had already put out or gave to somebody was easily accessible.
So the social engineering model that you're talking about is the act of going out and gathering a profile of, let's say, Steve here. I'm sure it's much harder for Steve than it would be for me, but you gather information about him,
Absolutely.
and then you use that to gain access through these whatever sites that they are members of.
Absolutely. I mean, think about the amount of information that you put on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or all of those other social media outlets, and then who can actually access that information. Facebook privacy is obviously a huge thing, and a lot of people don't understand the concepts of the actual privacy settings on Facebook.
No, I don't.
Yeah, and it's difficult to actually kind of grasp that. It's difficult sometimes for people to grasp the security consciousness, and
can you overstate how that we are not? The average person's not doing a good job with it.
I would say like 99% of the population is not good.
We're hanging out. We got information just hanging out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Who would target me is usually the biggest question. Like I'm just a nobody, but everybody's being targeted at one point or another.
7:46 and Double the MBD. We're talking with Cody and Steve Hope. They are with Cyan A5, and they are in this business of protecting businesses, security, making sure your data is secure, like Home Depot now is investigating. Talk us through a little bit what you know about that, or what they might have had. It's a little unclear as to whether or not they had a full breach, right?
Sure it is. But we do know where the source came from. The belief is that, as we have talked a lot in the past about foreign entities, this one particularly Russia, where a team was actually, and what their motive is, perhaps the economics, maybe the sanctions put upon them or whatever. We don't care.
Well, what do they do with the information? Let's say they get 40 million people's credit card info or whatever.
Sure.
What do they do with it?
Well, look at what happened with Target, of course, and we now see in the figures of about $300 to $400 million it cost Target just to try to clear up the situation that they had. It's usually for the economic gain.
Do they like a ransom? We got this information. You pay us, and we'll give it back to you.
At this point, they're not going to. They're going to sell that information somewhere else, most likely,
and then somebody will set up
money.
fake accounts and so on and so forth.
Exactly.
Okay. And then one final one I wanted to get to because there's just so much of this to talk about. There's a story in the news today about locally. I'm not going to name names or anything here, but the person was moving on to a new job, had some beef with the company about something, downloaded on a flash drive all the information that the competitor would love to see, and now it's kind of holding that ransom. How do you protect against stuff like that?
Exactly. That is my number one pet peeve over the last few years. I've been speaking about it. It's an insider threat. There is no doubt about it. That is the number one threat that there is for security. We can protect your firewalls. We can make sure that nobody can get into your system. We can make sure that that computer is talking to that application and has permission to do so. But that insider threat of the unknown individuals or somebody that has malintent is really going to be the hardest thing to solve. It's education.
Right.
It's making sure that you know your employees
and being secure. Cody, could you go into a place that doesn't have secure servers? Could you yourself and just go in and do something and just mess a company up?
Well, yeah, that would be unethical. Absolutely.
No. But I mean, but guys that have your knowledge, or even people that may have a lot less knowledge than you, could go in and easily. Maybe it's an employee. Maybe they're mad because the boss didn't give them a raise or something. It's easy to just open a closet door, walk in, and do something.
Absolutely, and that really hits on the point of doing security auditing. and making sure that your systems are secure, and to get somebody out there that has the knowledge and experience that can lock down things to be able to make sure that those things can't happen, or if they do happen, that there is an audit trail, that there is a way to say this person did this activity at this time.
All right. It's a million things to talk about. We don't always have enough time to do it. Thank you, Steve and Cody. A5.com. You can find out more information from these guys and Cyan.
So you've got all of these fast food workers who are walking out to get more money. Instead of a walkout, why don't they just download the secret recipe for Big Macs?
See, there you go. What do you think? What are you, Plankton from SpongeBob over there? Yeah,
it's already been done. It was done on SpongeBob.
And hold that ransom. That's not, that seriously, I don't know how those places protect against all those people having access to stuff.